A very good morning. Today we'll be talking about graphical processors. There's a third session on Business Research Lab, and today we'll be talking about how to prepare a bar chart, a histogram, a scatter plot, and box plot. Now let us talk about each of these types of graphs. Bar chart. Bar chart is basically prepared when the data is in nominal form. Nominal, as we all understand, is categorizing a given data on some basis. The variable here can be something like gender, where we have male and female as two different categories. It can be the type of food you take, whether you are a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian. So here the categories are being vegetarian or a non-vegetarian. It can be, you can say, the location you come from. So location is the variable where you're coming from, maybe Rishikesh or Haridwar or Jolly Grant or Dehradun. So those four locations are categorization of this variable location. So when we are talking about bar chart, we are going to use or prepare bar charts for nominal data. Histogram, the second one, which will be, you can say, talking today, we'll be using histogram when we are specifically focusing on scale data. Talking of scale data, it can be something like your CGPA. The CGPA you have attained in a scale of 10, maybe 9.42 or 7.36, whatever it is basically a scale. In a scale of 10, you're getting a CGPA. Now, this is an interval scale and will be, you can say, using a histogram for that. There can be cases also like when we are just recording something like age of a student, like your age, maybe 19 years, 20 years, 21 years. So that becomes the age, and that is basically, you can say, a ratio scale. A ratio scale here because in this case we have got a perfect zero, an absolute zero, which we have discussed previously also. And if you look at weight, height, time, all these variables, or maybe you can say scales in this variable will be a ratio scale. So for histogram, whenever the scale is, or you can say the measure is basically in scale form, that is ratio scale or nominal or interval scale, will be going for histogram. Third one, which we'll be talking again, is scatter plot. A scatter plot is used when in data is having, you can say, we have got two variables here. We have got an independent variable and a dependent variable. And we're just trying to see how, you can say, the two variables, you can say, interact, and how the values, you can say, scatter in a given two dimension. So particularly when we talked about something called correlations and regulations last semester, when you were studying this paper called business statistics, we talked about scatter plot there. So we'll be talking about scatter plot again, where we'll be plotting um, the values of two variables, the independent variable on the x-axis and dependent variable on y-axis. So that's scatter plot. And finally today, we're talking about something called box plot. Box plot is basically a way of finding out, you can say, the range and the median quartile, and simultaneously you can say we are also trying to find out if there are any outliers in the given, you can say, in the given values of a particular variable. So moving from these particular, you can say, this particular narration to the problem which we'll be talking about, I request you to just go through this particular page again and again, which I've already shared, you can say, in my notes also to you. So that you know what all steps you need to follow when you are preparing graphs. So now coming straight to the question. So I'll be, you can say, changing the share. I'm moving to new share and I'm moving to the question now. So this is the question we'll be, you can say, talking. So here's the question. Today, being the third session of this business research lab, we are moving with exercise 3. So here's the first question. The question is, data were collected from 10 sophomores at a local university. Sophomores basically means students who have just joined the university. So you can call them the first year or particularly first semester students. So data were collected from 10 sophomores at a local university, including their gender, So 1 is for male, 2 is for female. The number of hours they studied per 1,000 per day, so hours studied. The number of cups of coffee they drank per day, that's cups coffee. And what's written in as cups coffee or hours studied is basically the name of the variable in the SPSS file, and their grade point average or GPA. So we have got the exercise of 3.1 SAP attached, and we have to open the file and then do or attempt questions A, B, C, D, and E. So a question is where we have to create a bar chart where gender is a variable, and we have to find out that how many males are there, how many females are there. In B part, we have to create a histogram for hours studied. Simultaneously, we have to look at the number of mean, you can say, of hours studied per day, that's C part. D part, we have to create a scatter plot of GPA and hours studied, okay? And that's there. They are saying that put GPA on y-axis. Specifically, they are saying because GPA is dependent on how much effort or labor you do or how much hours in a given day you are studying. And then last we have, you can say we have to create the box plot for cups of coffee you have consumed. So we have to find out the outliers also there. So that is question number 1. So again, I'll be changing the screen. We have seen the question. This exercise is again with you. So I'm moving to, you can say, the SPSS file 1, and here we are going for the file 1. So this is the file for you. So I've opened the file, and this is the data view for you. But before that, let's see the variable view. We have got 4 variables. We've got gender. We have got male as 1, female as 2. That's given to us. Now, since there's a categorical variable, we'll call it nominal. Hours studied is number of hours the student has studied in a given day. The hours studied itself is a value, so there's no need to, you can say, specify that value, and it is basically a ratio scale, a perfect scale, so it becomes a scale. Cups of coffee, how many cups of coffee you are consuming in a given day. So again, you can say, I'm not writing, or we should not write a value over here because that's a perfect scale. So that's there, because of cups of coffee, you may be consuming 3 cups of coffee in a given day or 2 cups of coffee in a given day, and that's perfectly there. So because you can say there's an absolute value of 0, so it's not arbitrary. So that becomes, you can say, a ratio scale. So let's call it scale, because in SPSS there's no distinction between a ratio scale or interval scale. They call it scale. Now coming to GPA, general point average, or maybe you can say CGPA as you're having in your, you can say, grade sheets. So this GPA is there, and again you can say there's no value for it, because GPA is basically you're getting how much you can say GPA you're getting in a given scale, and that's there. It's a scale, it's interval scale, because here the value of 0 is arbitrary. It's basically moving. So maybe you can say we now understand the data. Now coming to, the variables, and now coming to data. So we have got gender, hours studied, cups of coffee that has been consumed in a given day by the students, and the GPA they've got. Now gender, when we are talking about, 2 is females, 1 is male, known to us. Hours studied, this is the number of hours they've studied. So we have got a minimum score of, you can say, just half an hour study, as maximum as 6 hours in a given day. Cups of coffee when consumed is totally, it can be 0 also, it can be somewhere 5 also. And GPA which students have got is somewhere between 3.78, 2.66, and 3.20, something like this. This may appear to be quite low to you, but remember, you can say this GPA is in a scale of 4. GPA, you can say, can be in a scale of 4, it can be in a scale of 5, it can be in a scale of 10. So it depends how the universities, you can say, are looking at the GPA. In what scale or measure they are using it. It's a measure of 4, it's a measure of 5, it's a measure of 10. In our university and most of the universities, the GPA is in a scale of 10. Done? So, but here the question says it's a GPA of, it's not saying anything, but I'm assuming that this is basically in a scale of 4. Done? So that's before us. Let's move to the analysis part now. A part was saying that we have to find out, or we have to create a box plot for gender. Definitely you can say box plot is required or can be made when the data is categorical. If you look at gender, it is categorical data. We've got male is 1, female is 2. So let's move to it. We click on graph. We click on, you can say, legacy dialogues. And the first thing we find is bar. We click on bar. We click on simple. We click on define. And there, this new box comes up. We have the gender here. We just click on the category axis. Just title I'm mentioning, I'm saying gender. gender of students. This is what I'm saying. That's all I'm writing. I say continue. I click on OK. And what I'm moving to is an output file. So what I'll do is I'll simply move to output file so that we have the output file and we are basically, you can say, seeing the output file. So let me check the output file. Here the output file is, and I'm sharing the output file for you. So that's the file. So this file is there. So we are just, you can say, I've already, you can say, opened the file, and the analysis is not showing here. Maybe it's there in some other file. Okay, it's coming. It takes a bit of time to come, and now the analysis has come. Done. So this is it. Data graph is there, count is there. So the gender of students, this is the graph we have plotted for the nominal data or categorical data, as you can call it. Male, we have got, if you look here, we've got 3 males, we have got 7 females. So that is what the data is. So A part, I suppose we've answered, but let's repeat it to understand it. So again, look at the question. The question says, A part says that we have to create a bar chart for nominal data. So what we do is we click on graph, we click on legacy dialogues, move to bar charts, and then we have got a simple bar chart coming up. We define the things. Now, since you can say I've already done the test, it shows all the things over here. I need to, you can say, go for reset. So the original things will come. Again, we know gender is there. Gender, I'm clicking here as category. Title, I'm saying gender of students. I click on continue. I click on OK, and there you are. You'll find the answers are there. This answer we already discussed. So this is basically, you can see the graph that has been plotted for the nominal data, for the given categorical or nominal data. And we have got male is 1, where you can say number of males is 3 and number of females is 7. So that's given to us. Now, keeping this, you can say, intact, because you can say when you have the output file open up, you can do all your analysis with the output file being open. So since I'll be not moving much with changing, you can say, to the 2 files, I'll do the analysis here itself. So I'm moving to graphs now. Again, I'm doing B part. So here I was to, you can say, work on something called histogram. And the question said that I have to create, you can say, histogram for, you can say, hours studied. How many hours the students have studied? So hours studied is a variable, and I've got title. Title is, you can say, hours studied by students. So this is given to us, and I say continue. I say okay. And here, if you look at, I've already created, you can say, rather, it has already been created simply. So this is, you can say, the histogram for scale data, and our study was scale data. C part was asking you the question that what is the mean of the data, and the mean here comes up automatically. Mean is 3.05. So this is how you can say we are working on histograms. Repeating again the same test, I say click on graph, click on legacy dialogues, move to the, you can say, histogram, which is at the bottom. I'll just click reset because I want to, you can say, make it afresh. So hard studied is the variable which I'm working on. Title I have to write out. I say hours studied by students. This I've got. I'm saying continue. I'm saying okay, and there you are. You're straight away getting the answer. So we've got the answer. B part has been answered. So this says that the hours studied, this histogram has been given to us, and simultaneously we've got the mean also, which is 3.05. Done. So we have answered the B part and C part. Now coming to the D part, here we have to create a scatter plot, as the question says over here. You can visit the question, and if you have the screen open with your, you can say, on that, you can say the Windows file open. So here you have the exercise question. So you can look at the question. We have to, you can say, do a scatter plot for 2 variables. R studied is the independent variable, and the GPA the student got is the dependent variable. So let's move on that. And again, clicking on graph, I'm clicking on legacy dialogues. I'm moving to something called scatter plot, which is the second last item. So scatter dot that's been mentioned here, I click on it, and the moment I click on it, I click on, you can say, simple scatter. I define it, and here R studied is in x-axis. It is independent variable. Dependent variable is always on y-axis. And also, you know, how many marks you score or what GPA you get basically is defined by how much hard work you put or how much hours you study. That's what the rationale is. And therefore, you can see how R studied becomes the independent variable, and the GPA you've got becomes the dependent variable. Now, just putting the title here, I'm writing the title. Now I say SCATT, scatter plot for hours studied and GPA attained. This is why I've written like this. I say continue, and I simply, you can say, click on OK, and here you get the answer. So look at the things. This is a scatter plot you've got. We've just got a scatter plot. We've just scattered the data. So GPA is on the y-axis, R studied, which is the independent variable, is on the x-axis, and this is a scatter plot you've got. So you can look at the values. So this is a scatter plot we have got. You can even, you can say, draw the distribution. You can say, you can draw the curve over here. So this is the normal, this is a curve you can have, and this curve will actually, you can say, will actually help you, you can say, in basically seeing that how the flow of data is done. So let's do this exercise again. We're talking about the D part of the question, where we have to create a scatter plot. In case of a scatter plot, we have got two variables, one independent variable, one dependent variable. Now, in our case here, for this example, R studied by student happens to be the independent variable. The dependent variable is the GPA they have achieved. Now, click on graphs, click on, you can say, legacy dialogues, move to, you can say, scatter dot, which is at the almost the bottom. So click on that, move on the simple scatter, define the things, and here we need to reset because we need to do the things afresh. So R studied will be always placed in the x-axis, GPA in the y-axis. I'm just putting the title. I'm saying scatter plot for R's studied and GPA. Done. This is what I've done. Continue. Okay. And here, if you look at the things, you have got the answer. You have got the answer. So that is what the scatter plot is. So not talking much about this now. I'm just moving to the last question. The last question was talking on box plot. When we are doing box plot, we are just trying to find out what is the actual range of data which comes up, and do we have any outliers over there. So these few things we are seeing, and here the question said, in this particular exercise, the question said that create a box plot for cups of coffee being consumed by students. So let's move to that. We are moving to graphs. We are clicking on the legacy dialog, and somewhere in the middle you'll find there's something called box plot. Please click on that. Please click on this simple one. Here you need to, you can say, click on this summaries of separate variables, define the things, and then maybe you can say cups of coffee is the things we are, you can say, working for. Just go for OK, and there you are having the answer. The answer comes up this way, that the values range between 0. Definitely it's ranged from the cups of coffee being consumed by a student, range between 0 to somewhere between 6. If you look at the median part, it comes to nearly 2.5. Okay, this is where you can say the median is coming, and this is the box, which is, you can say, talking of the actual range 1.5 to maybe you can say 5 is the most values are coming here, and just you can say some isolated cases are coming there, but then the box plot itself is showing that there is no case of outlier. All values are within range. Done. Talking again about how box plot is performed, we are going for graphs. I click on things. We are clicking on graphs. We are clicking on legacy dialogues. We are clicking on box plot. We are clicking on simple. We are clicking on this thing very important. When you are doing it, actually you can say it will appear this way. You need to, you can say, move to here, this part, click on the summaries for separate variables, define the variable, and resetting is required because we are doing things afresh. So cups of coffee, I'm putting as the, you can say, boxes represent that way. I do okay, and here you've got the answer. So the answer is before you. The case processing summary is there. We had 10 people, you can say, whose data has been collected. All people have filled the answer, so it's there's no case of data missing. Every person is answered how much cup of coffee they are drinking, and the lowest value is 0. The highest value is, you can say, 6. But if you look at the actual, you can say, values coming up, the range, you can say, somewhere between you can say 1.5 to 5. And if you look at this dark line, it suggests, you can say, the first quartile that comes to you can say 2.5. So that's the answer. So I suppose we have talked about this graphical you can say processes today, and hopefully you can say this will be creating a good understanding. I'll be doing, you can say, question 2 and 3 a bit later, and then giving you them after the assignment has been done by you, just as a way to, you can say, see how you performed and how it was to be actually done. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you'll be, you can say, doing the assignments, watching these videos regularly, and also attending the Zoom classes. Thank you then. Thank you.